What's going on, guys? This is the 2K method here, and today we're gonna have 7 tips for the playground on NBA 2K18. And with this being a newer channel on YouTube, this is gonna be my first video about 2K18. So if these tips really help you, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. With that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, so tip number 1 is to pass the ball. This is a very simple tip. Very easy, but a lot of teams, which I've seen in 2K17, didn't really move the balls. A lot of ball handling, ISO situations, but in this game, it is definitely more team friendly. You have to have a good team. You can't just have one good guy carry you. So you have to pass the ball in this game. If I was you, I would pass the ball probably 4, 5, 6 times a possession. Actually, it really helps. You know, it gets the defense moving around. It makes them have to guard all 3 players, and it's extremely difficult to guard. You know, as you see right here, a bunch of passing leads to an open shot. So yeah, that's tip number 1. Very simple, cut and dry. Just pass the ball. Okay, so tip number 2 is to have more than one ball handler on your team. You want to be able to pass the ball around and have more than one guy create for your team is basically what I'm saying. It doesn't mean you have to have 2 playmakers or all 3 of your guys have to have playmaking in their build. You can have a shot creator. You can have anything that just can dribble the ball, can create for themselves, and create for your teammates. You don't want to have all the ball handling come down to one person. It's a lot of weight on that one person's shoulders to really create for the team. And if that person, say, gets a pure lockdown on them, or someone with a lockdown in their build on them playing point guard, which you see a lot of in this game, it makes it really difficult for that person to get the teammates open, you know, drive, kick, run pick and roll. It makes it really hard for the primary ball handler to really do something. So you want to have that second guy that can get people their shots, can get people open. And this is more of an IQ thing. You can create with just about any build on the game. You know, you can create with a pure sharpshooter, and as long as you know to make the good pass at the right time, you're going to get your teammates open. But why I say you should probably have playmaker or shot creator in your build is for the reason of dimer. And let's say you do make a pure sharpshooter because you want to bang a bunch of 3s, right? But your primary ball handler on your team is getting clamped up for some reason. And maybe he has a pure lockdown on him. Maybe he's got somebody with lockdown in their build. For whatever reason, he can't get you guys open. So you have to be the one to make the plays. You have to be the one to pass the ball at the right time, which, I mean, isn't hard if you have a decent IQ. But the reason I'm saying is if you have to be the one who's creating and you're a pure sharp, let's say you find somebody open in the corner or open on the wing or open up top. You pass it to them, but they miss because you don't have that little extra bit, that extra boost that dimer gives you. And it makes it harder for your teammates. You want to make it as easy as possible for your teammates. If your teammates are playing good, that makes it easier for you to play good, and it makes it easier for your team as a whole to win. So have 2 ball handlers on the team. That's the gist of tip number 2. You want to have 2 guys who can create for themselves and for the teammates. Tip number 3 is to stretch the floor. Have all 3 players need to be able to stretch the floor. Okay? I'm not saying you have to put sharpshooter in all 3 of your builds. I'm not saying you even have to put shot creator in all 3 of your builds. What I'm saying is you need to go through, make a couple builds. If you want to be a slasher type, a playmaking slasher, I recommend is great for finishing inside, and his open shot 3 with max wingspan goes up to a 75. So I mean, that's pretty good. You want to have probably your one of your best shooter, not your best, because you want your best to, you know, have some kind of sharpshooter in his build, because that's probably going to be his primary focus in the game, is to shoot 3s. Maybe your second best shooter should make a build like this, maybe a playmaking slasher or a shot creating slasher, you know, something like that. If you want to have a slasher in your build at all, if you all 3 want to have sharpshooters, that's fine too. But if you don't want to have sharpshooter in your build, and you still need to be able to stretch the floor. So you want to go through, search for some builds, find some builds that search YouTube, find some builds that have a decent three, and find you a good jumper, find you a good jump shot that you can green light with. And it really helps the team having all three people that they have to go out and guard at the 3-point line. It really helps. And a good lineup I've found is the playmaking slasher, a pure sharp, and then a sharpshooting point forward. That's a great lineup. It really stretches the floor for everyone. It really makes it easy to play defense. To play offense. It really makes it easy to pass the ball around. It gives you more than one ball handler. Look for lineups like that. Look for builds that can really stretch the floor. And that's all of it for tip number 3, is just be able to stretch the floor, be able to shoot the three. All 3 players on your team should be able to shoot in some way, even if it's mid-range shots. That can help in its own right. Alright, tip number 4 is another simple one that probably most people know from 2K17. It's just to change your controller settings to absolute. So what you do is you just go to your settings, go over to controller, change everything that says camera relative to absolute. This helps a ton, especially for dribblers, guys who like to handle the ball. It helps a lot for slashers too. You can pick which hand you want to dunk with easier. You can do reverse dunks. You can do your contact dunks easier. It helps just about every position. So really look into that. Definitely go change that. Again, all you do is go to your settings, go to controller, then in your controller settings, change everything that says camera relative. Just change it all to absolute. And that's it for tip number 4. Tip number 5 is to move without the ball. Cut. If you're a lot of times I'll see the primary ball handler on the team. He'll do a bunch of dribbling. You've seen this a lot in 17. Do a bunch of dribbling, ISO moves, and then he can't get open, so he passes the ball and he just stands there. He'll stand on the wing or stand in the corner for the rest of the possession. He'll just stand there, and that's not what you want to do. You want to move around, cut, especially if you're a slasher. You definitely want to be cutting, but you want to have communication with your team to where you're not cutting. There's not 2 people cutting at the same time, because if one of you get by, the other one's cutting and his man's just going to be in your way. And you want to make sure there's only one of you cutting at a time, and you have a ball handler who's actually looking for people on the cut. A lot of times you'll have the ball handler try to ISO and just not even be paying attention. He'll just be worried about his man. So you want to make sure you have a point guard who is looking to pass the ball and not looking to score before you start cutting a bunch. And that's tip number 5. Just make sure you move without the ball. And make sure if you're the point guard looking at people moving without the ball, make sure you pass them the ball. It really encourages them to keep moving around and to keep looking for their shot without the ball. Tip number 6 is to have good help defense as a team. This is kind of a harder one to explain and a harder one to learn, actually. This is probably the one that you're going to have the most trouble with. Playing defense on this game, they only give you bronze defensive stopper, and that's as high as it'll go on most builds unless you make a lockdown. And I really encourage people to make lockdowns, because whenever you're playing a game and you walk out on the court and you see what people are, the second you see that person has lockdown in their name, you're just like, oh man, I guess I'm not scoring this game. It's a lockdown is a really intimidating build, and it makes the other team, it gets in their head most of the time. But you want to have, let's say, a big man. If you have a center as a big man, they usually tend to help a little too much, and they run over and try to get blocks. When you're playing help defense, don't help by trying to get blocks. Help by running over and just putting your hands up, or running over and giving his man a little bump, and then getting back to your man. Just show a little bit. If you know what that means, if you played any basketball, you know what showing means. Just kind of scoot your guy over towards them a little bit, and just show that that you can come and help. You see a lot of times if your teammate is getting cooked, like really getting cooked by the offensive player, then that's when it's time to maybe make an adjustment. Maybe move your best defender onto that guy. You know, you can switch on this game a lot better than on 17. It won't hurt your teammate grade as bad. You can switch, and the AI recognizes pretty quick that you're switching and that you're trying to play better defense. So it won't hurt your teammate grade as bad if you switch correctly. But if your teammate is still getting beat, or if you are still getting beat consistently, then it might be time to go make a pure lockdown or something with lockdown in his name. Maybe his secondary could be lockdown, just to help you out, unless you're actually going to work at defense. You know, if you're not going to consistently work to get better at defense, or if you don't play the game enough, you're just a casual player, then I really encourage you to go make a lockdown. Try it out, see how you like it. Maybe a playmaking lockdown if you're a dribbler, or a sharpshooting lockdown if you're a shooter. You know, they're really fun to play with. They make your player, they're really athletic. They're more athletic than you would think. You know, if you make probably a lockdown sharpshooter, then you'll still be able to dunk pretty impressively. I mean, they're really, really athletic, and their speed goes up pretty high too. But that's it for today. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys want more. Comment down below which video you want me to do next. Do just about anything. Tips videos, tricks videos. If you guys want some NBA videos, like what ifs, or maybe you guys want to see a different game, that's fine too. Just comment what you guys want to see next, and I'll link all my social medias, my Twitter, my Instagram. Go follow them as well, and thanks for watching.